Hello and welcome to the Battle of the Boroughs, the final day, the grand finals, and we've gone through a number of regional qualifiers, but this is the day to find out who's the best in the Boroughs. I'm BallerTW, joined by Monster D-Face, the man himself. How you doing, man?
Hey, doing good. Here to represent for New York City. You know, I was rooting hard for the Bronx last week. That story is not going to change today.
Well, I'm a bit of a neutral figure, right? I lived there for about a year in Manhattan, but for the most part, I'm gonna see who impresses me today, and I've got my eyes on a couple people for sure. But let's talk about how we got here, because a lot of you guys might be wondering what this all is. We had a number of different regional qualifiers, and right now we're going to the grand finals. So all these regions, all the boroughs, they've proportionally qualified, so that means the number of people who played in each of the boroughs ended up qualifying into the grand finals, and now we have 33 teams. We're gonna play some arena trios. So just like you're used to, placement is determined by all the scores among all 8 games. Those will be added up, and it's a grand final, so you know it's gonna get hot and heated, Monster.
Yeah, it is. I mean, last week was definitely a battle of the boroughs for sure. Every single region, every division that we had kind of staked up. I mean, it was a close competition. There were a few breakaway squads, but now that we're boiling down to the best of the best, there's going to be no easy games here today.
Yeah, and it is 8 games that they're going to be playing, so slightly different, but let's get into the actual teams. Let's get into who qualified out of the Bronx right here, right now. The God team at first, that's Gonzo, Okote, and Jared's. Monster, you had some high praise for them going into this when I was talking to you.
Yes, I knew they were already a semi-pro / pro team coming in, and they proved that, taking first for their division. But let's not count out the chopped cheese. Everyone knows there's nothing like a good chopped cheese. It's Kipit's Link and Scat. Dude, they were popping off, you know, exercising their competitive knowledge as well. They were setting up fights and frags with grenade strats, and we know how strong that can be in trios. So again, just a couple squads I'm looking out for here.
Yeah, I think all of the top 4 teams have recognizable names, but beyond recognizable, it's also teams who are trying to make a name for themselves. Let's dive into the 4th place team there. The Stable Discord has some well-known players. Rox, who just had a very fantastic day in the DreamHack Solos last week. He's paired up with Janik and Agers, who a lot of people know him from duos playing with Innocence back in the day.
That is right. Innocence and Agers, man. But Agers here, like we said, it kind of gets interesting, right? Watching these new teams get formed up just because of the fact that they're from, you know, Manhattan or upstate New York and Bronx. So pretty cool to see. But hey, Bala, we have more regions. We have Brooklyn and Long Island coming up just here as well. Take me through some of these teams.
Oh my goodness, and this was basically the one that I was looking forward to, because Elite at first place when they came out from Long Island. It's Bizzle, Zexro, and Jath, and during the qualifiers, Monster won all 3 of their games. A ridiculous feat in and of itself, but this is the team to take down for everybody else in my mind.
I mean, and it's the no surprise, right? Bizzle, one of the most decorated Fortnite players alongside Zexro. Come on, that's just a dream team right there. You have the well-rounded Jath to balance it out, and Team Long Island is looking so strong. And if you had to play in this heat, I'm sure the nerves were high, but hey, East Side Squad, Bugsy, Road, and Bluetooth, another set of veterans from the beginning days of Fortnite, represented for Brooklyn, also stepped up to the plate.
Yeah, absolutely. They put up a fight, but not quite enough against Bizzle, Zexro, and Jath. Although, again, we talk about how it was in the qualifiers versus now. Things might be different because it's slightly, it's more in terms of customs. It's more on the line. It's the grand finals, and there's 33 teams now compared to however many they had in their format. So regardless, let's move on to the next. It's Queens, and this team at the top, QGTM, they impressed me so hard because Soul Chase and Invidious dominated in their heat, just as they did Bizzle, Zexro, and Jath. They got something like 20 elims every single time they went out there, which is impressive in and of itself.
Yeah, they definitely had the kill cap for the region and just for the day as far as what we covered on the broadcast front. So I went through, I saw the clips, I saw Chase active in there, catching all the clips, taking the praise. Chase, I see you lurking. You're going to be hearing us talk about you. Yeah, you're not slick, all right? We're doing our homework. I see you out there. You know, these guys really put up a show. As far as everyone in the Queens region, I think they're the by far standout crowd. Not to discredit the rest of the boys, but I mean, it is what it is. And hold up, Ball, but talk about discrediting people. I mean, it's Jersey, like Jersey for real. This is Battle of the Boroughs. How do we get Jersey, the armpit, into the competition here?
Yeah, what is this? They're not even a borough. No, all good. Still, these guys are competing no matter what, and there are some names here that are recognizable, but again, still going to be battling upwards in my opinion, and obviously it's Jersey. So Low IQ, who took the first spots, is paired with Ved, Leo, and Dev, and Ved is a player who made a name for himself in FNCS. He was the guy with the banana skin with Peely, the agent, and winning games in the heats of FNCS duos the last time FNCS rolled around. That's somebody to look out for sure.
I think Oxygen, OXGX Starving Squad as well. You have Joe, Redux, and Pimp there. I think they're another just standout team as far as notable or semi-notable players that are going to be stepping into the competition. For Jersey, though, and let's talk about Jersey's history in general. They have a slew of competitors, right, and top-tier players. We're talking about the Team Liquid boys and others. So
yeah,
Jersey. I know. Why didn't they show up? They should have took this free cash here. But what I did notice, and I know we've been clowning Jersey for like 2 weeks straight. Jersey had the most stacked games, like overall through the competition.
Okay, well, we'll take that into consideration when we think about the rest of the grand finals. Let's talk about how the scoring breaks down, what the point format is. It is very similar to what you're used to seeing. You got 60 points up for grab for placements if you win that victory royale, but all the way through, starting from 15th all the way up to first, is going to be a different threshold. And then for eliminations, 5 points, which means 12 elims is equivalent to a win. That balance seems to be pretty equal among basically all the point formats we've ever seen. Monster.
Yeah, definitely leans into those elims, and yeah, it's about standard for what it's worth. And look at this though, this pricing, this is some serious money for just like a third-party regional tournament. $35,000 on the line, Bala.
Yeah, $35,000, and that's already with $15,000 given away to the regional competitions. But right now it's the grand finals. First takes $7,500, second $4,000. I mean, this is equivalent to some of the other grand finals pricing we've seen. So you know people are gonna be taking this serious because it is some serious pricing. We have 8 games over this day, 8 games, which is one of the most long and grueling grand finals we actually can see, but we will find out who is the best when it all is said and done.
That is true, man. 8 games. We know what that kind of competition is like. We know how much stress goes involved. This really becomes a mental game at this point, Bala, allowing the players to stay up on their, keep the swivel on the stake here, right? Like, it's not easy to play 8 games straight.
No, it really isn't, and those who've experienced it are going to have a leg up in this because they know that every game, even though there's 8, still matters. I mean, you look at the competitions and grand finals that have this sort of format, that have 8 games, and you know that the person who wins is doing well in every single one of these games. So I think all it does is even out any possibilities of some weird things happening and lowering that consistency slightly. But like I said, the people who are experienced in this stage right here, people like Bizzle, Zexro, and Jade are going to have a leg up, but the newcomers also will obviously have been watching and have participated in things just like this.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? You probably have now more pressure than ever because there's some, it's probably a first taste in a competitive setting among some of the elites. And granted, it may not be many of them, but hey, the pressure's still going to be on for the pros today.
Yeah. 100%. So I think we're ready to get into game 1 of the Battle of the Boroughs, and yes, we will. And already off spawn is going to be interesting thing to watch in terms of who gets what along the map, because again, we're not skipping between regions. This is it. Everybody's in one lobby, and we got Gonzo, Jared, and Okote already fighting out Lazy Lake, which is exactly what they did last time, but this time they're going up against Bugsv, Blue Tea, and Road.
And I'll be serious. I'll be the first one to say I'm rooting for this Team Bronx right here. And also, I just saw on the feed Zexro go down. Wait a second, already one of the power trios, the notable squad, the most notable in the division today, getting taken out. But all right, we got to keep up with this right here. The action's unfolding here. Bala, Gonzo's on the back foot now.
Yeah, that they seem to have grabbed the main building, but they're splitting it with Blue Tea and Bugsv, so he's playing a lot carefuler. And on the other side of Lazy Lake, though, we've got 2 of his teammates looting up freely. So if Gonzo can hold on, things might look good. I'm still looking on the rest of the map right now to determine where other people are going to go. I'm pretty sure Zexor and crew would be fighting at Caddy Corners, expecting their reputation to be enough, but Gonzo's got himself in trouble. As Bugsv is right on top of him, but Jared's and Oakcoat are right on time.
Is right. Nice little timed rotate here for the squad to come in. Great cone to come in as well here. Now they have this player boxed up, and it's time to catch their first frag. And yes, it's going to be blue too. It's going to get taken out here. The beautiful cypher for Gonzo. Exactly what he was looking for and needed to cap him off at max HP. This is a confidence booster if I've ever seen one.
Wow.
Now, pushing on through.
What they're doing right here is fantastic, chasing down every single person, and that's it. They've got it. Lazy Lake has been wiped clean, and in quick fashion too. They barely even took any damage against a squad like Blue T, Roat. That is ridiculous. And what they did, Gonzo was in the center building, forcing them to have to worry about them, while Okote and Jared's were looting on the backside of Lazy Lake. And then by the time that they started pushing down onto Gonzo, he bought it, and they pushed right into that to force a pinch. Well done to take Lazy Lake in the first game.
God Team versus Eastside. It looks like God Team's on top, but it's just going to be the first of many interactions. We'll see if players start switching things up. They do have plenty of other games out in front of them. I think in this kind of competition, in this setting, you got about 2 throwaways. Not that you want to throw away your first game by any means, but hey, they're still in the competition.
Yeah, and with trios, it also makes it easier to have those big games and have them be more impactful than another mode like solos, where essentially the elim cap, I would say it's not necessarily a cap in this sense, but the amount that you can get in a good game is much higher in trios. So you can get a 20 elim game even in the most stacked of formats, the grand finals and customs. So I wouldn't worry too much about it at all.
It is true, but over to the rickety rig. We're watching some farming happen here. Tiny Jelly, Aqua taken, just trying to get their loadouts together right now. They do have this place to themselves according to the map down in the corner here. Those arrows are going to be, they're nice little wide spread over the rickety rig. Looking kind of decent for Jelly here, right? Blue charge shotgun, SMG to follow up. Maybe not the ideal situation for heals and whatnot though.
Yeah, maybe not. They should be able to find a launch pad out of the vaults, but something to note about the rig is that it has been slightly getting changed a little bit. Some things have been falling off, and there might be a little less loot overall at the rig with the water levels rising as they are. So now looking at the Fortilla, this is a trio fighting still here. Not sure if anybody's actually grabbed Ocean and the vaults quite yet, but all I know is one team is looking to back out, and they might end up pushing into the rig.
Couple shots being put down here now. Letty with a nice positioning here. The squad that they're pushing back though, Link and crew, are just a 2-man team at the moment, so their third is not in the game. Andor has been taken out already. I'm going to assume that he's been dropped here at the Fortilla. I think Link's overstood his welcome a little too long though. Letty's got yeah, he's definitely got the idea that Link's inside of this warehouse here, and he's gonna go in for it. Link needs to catch the quick frag or it's gonna be over. He's gonna get pounced on by 3 players. Here it is. No, he's not gonna be able to get the first shot. He is gonna get the second and third though. It's looking kind of decent here, but it's not enough. Shield crack goes out right there, Balla. I think it's all over here. Yep, there goes the white tags, and ooh, look at that. He's holding the goods.
There you go. He was indeed. He got the Ocean's chug jug, and now they head to the vault to get whatever's left in there and be able to move from and on out. I think they were trying to get to the whirlpool, but with the pressure that Letty was able to put down, it was fairly simple for them. So well done, and every interaction off spawn matters hugely in this game, given that they'll be going at it again in the next and in the next 7. So a win at the Fortilla early means a lot, and I like to see that team coming out with some fire, some aggression, to actually make sure that the next of their games might be a little easier for them going forward. Hopefully they've claimed some space, although obviously that other team, Link and crew, will be trying to back with some strategy as well.
Brooklyn in the house right here. We got Valor, Foxen, and Cerro already off to a super strong start. 3 elims for the crew right here, just outside of the Pleasant Park, and the zone is favoring right on top of them. It's going to give them all the opportunity here now to continue to bounce out their resources and get their farm on. That's right, the prestigious brick that you can find here is what they're going to be capitalizing on. It's like a bunch of termites just eating up the wood log right there. They're going to make that house disappear in no time.
Something to note though for them, I think they dropped in Pleasant Park. They've got 3 elims, so they've wiped a full trio. but Pleasant Park and pretty much the entire map does not have the non-drivable cars anymore. Those are gone, reclaimed from the insurance company, and so they're weak on metal. And how do they actually proceed on that? I think maybe going down to the bridge might have been a slightly better idea than continuing up on the backside of the zone here just to farm out some brick. But either way, like you said, position still will be strong.
And I'm curious to see how Bizzle, Zexor, and Jaith are doing. I know Zexor was taken out early. Jaith did catch the revenge frag, but I do wonder if the power trio is still alive right now. Hopefully we'll get some updates on that soon here, but wait a second. We have a bit of a clash happening here.
Oh, I love this. Zero, Foxen, and Valor, they're going to be right on the other side of this hill. And yes, this team, Wacky, Orphic, they're traveling right together. They're going to poke their head out. It's 1, 2, 3. It's a couple good tags on the Wacky, but everybody else still healthy. So they're going to have to decide quickly whether they actually want to engage on this or not, if they want to back up. And I think they will choose to back up, just getting some tags, which is important. Because as we know, grand finals can often turn into a nice nade right onto Wacky again, but they don't finish him. It's just tags so far, and now they actually are going to full engage, and this is now turning into a very, very, very risky decision.
You gotta appreciate the fact that they baited the nade spam out, and now, yes, Wacky's gonna be the target. He's gonna put all the nades onto Wacky and just force him into a bad situation, and yes, one is gonna finally connect with the AR spam. A little combo of fire there. Now looking for the complete thirst and the refresher here on the material. Well, he's gonna hit the whole shakedown. All right, so he wants all the goods here. This is gonna give the information to the squad now. There's gonna be no hiding and no running for this squad that's now taking a zone fight. They're on the line here. 3 shots up in Valor here, Bala.
Yeah, but with the zone, that means the time is going to be ticking. They get right on top of him. This might be another knock. Yes, quickly for Valor, and they have not taken a single hit. Orphic, the last player remaining, and he will easily get taken out with a nice drop-down shot from Valor, but the rest of his team is right on top of them, too. And the storm not too far away, so ends up being a very, very nice engagement. Started with the surprise shots, the 1, 2, 3, and then the backup nades when they realized that this team was not really repositioning and posturing for a fight. They were hoping that they would just back off of that hill. So the signaling that Valor and crew did was perfect in this situation.
It's a great breakdown of how that all unfolded there. You have to wonder now, this team is on a steamroll here. 6 elims already, 2 squads been fully wiped out. Great place to take a fight to on the back of the storm line. But all right, we're over with Spark, who's down a member, Taco TV, both of which are sharing the same name. So all shout outs and credits go to Taco, I guess, here, but one of the 2 tacos, man, they're down.
Hopefully a snipe towards Invidious, who had a very, very fantastic day out of Queens, like we spoke about in the pre-show. This is another area where the water level had some significant impact. The bridge outside of Steamy Stacks is back, and this area right here is actually shown. The land is back. So this is actually a viable rotation path, and also a viable spot to base up if they so desire. Center of second zone should be good. I'd love to know where Invidious is actually pushing towards and where Zexor and crew are, if they're still in the game. If not, even just getting confirmation of that. That is a strong power position up there on top of the stacks, though.
It's definitely one of those spots that if you have, it can play into your benefit for a long time if you continue to hold it, giving you guys that bird's eye view over the entire kind of scene here. But 21 damage below the threshold, even with 2 elims, shows how active the server has been so far. But lucky for them, only 2 players have to go down, so they shouldn't be too much of a threat here. A minute and a half to have to decide on how to figure that out there. Here's Dapsy, Bix, and Arias here, who are still somehow above the threshold even without any eliminations. The tags going in their favor right now. They're getting their farm on for the metal. This is what we spoke about before, rotating in for these metal planks if you're around this area. Kind of hard to get your resources gathered on the current state of the map, but with the water levels declining, things are starting to look a little bit more favorable for most of the teams now.
Yeah, that it is. Normally you see them replacing the bridge, but there's no other teams around here. Not even that one team that ended up taking the fight not too far from this. So they're pretty happy. Actually, that's the team right there with the boat.
That was what you say. This might be the squad that just rolled up, because you can see that they just crossed past now. But no one's looking for the fight here. This is not going to be a good storm fight. Love that they're disengaging as well, putting a little bit of distance between the squad over there.
It's like they had the backup plan that entire time, right off the backside of this bridge. Break the line of sights and then come up onto the dead side of the zone up in the north right here, where the majority of the lobby will not be focused on. And I think they even have potentially a free mountain up there at the research center of Craggy.
All right, though, still have quite a few zones to go here. It's a nice little shot of Gonzo, Kote, and Jared right underneath the power lines, where Allen, Glossa, and Hawk are all sitting so strong. Another dominant position. We talk about having the stacks, but the zip lines are equally as powerful as far as the height and vision go here. Gonzo's gonna find himself and Jared's little knock in the feed there. I see Chase is gonna catch Tahiri as well, so players getting dropped right now. That was all the results of the AR fire with the support of the team on the zip line here. That's going to bring them up to 4 total eliminations. Not too bad, especially catching these big game frags picks here. Oh, the team that was on height, though, uses the zip line all the way across. So risky. They get tagged up a lot for that.
Yeah, and even worse than being tagged up just a little bit, they get stuck in the middle of the water right there. So that is hugely unfortunate. A fight breaking up at the research center. That other team still down at the bottom. They haven't come into this, but they might eventually. It's already a exchange down below. Still knocks one, but another one. Oh, it's a full box. They're all in it right now. And now a 2 versus 1. Doe has to work with what he's got. He backs out of the box. Hopefully can heal up a little bit, but Glitch and Mossme get all of the loot right now and even get some sinks. That's 6. That could be critical in taking down Doe or finishing it in the 1 versus 2.
It is right here. Now it's time to push it on through here. Trying to make a big move here. NorCal's Doe is on the run. They had the advantage, and all of a sudden things are not in his favor here. Miege with a little crank up, though. Nicely done here. And now he's right up in the mix of it here, looking for the fight. But the charge shotgun's going to be enough to back off Miege. He doesn't want anything to do with that. He's not going to do it by himself. So instead, they're going to recoup, gather down, and pick up what they can. Kind of as a small victory for what it's worth. A minute on the clock, though, Balla. We're going to have to make a move here soon.
Zones start to move. It will overtake them in about 30 seconds, so that's what you're referring to. But Dash is still doing so much. Dosh, sorry, on the backside. Gets a nice tag onto Glitch. That forces him to heal. He gets another 1v1 on the other side, but that doesn't go anywhere. Do have the pad if they want to end up leaving this, but I'd almost want to see them leave from down below. Here comes the Stinks. Now it does force Doe down. Meanwhile, on the feed, I see Jaith gets taken out. He might have been the final member of that squad. Regardless, still throwing these Stinks. They now have to proceed down with Doe on their backside. And that might be so difficult for them to actually do, because he will follow up and they'll have to waste all of their metal, at least Glitches. As they get out of zone, that RPG does not connect, but does pressure Doe back into zone. They've put some distance now in between themselves, and Doe does not want to fight. Well done from him. The good decision to go out to the right rather than doing anything else, because he knew that this was going to come. Pressure onto the team who has 2 members alive and making all sorts of racket as they have to build their way in. Meanwhile, Doe is just going to lurk his side, and he ends up on the more congested side of zone, so they might get spotted as a solo instantly.
And that's the thing, you trade one good play, you never know what's going to come out of it. Now he's in a much worse situation. He's sitting on top of 6 players over there. We'll see how that plays out. Maybe the distraction will be enough to bide him some time and get him to the next zone. Regardless, though, the zone is pulling far north. Only team on the west there is going to be the closest for the free rotate here. The stack side, though, has got a lot to move for. They're going to be using these steamy stacks here to get the free cross now. A lot of this zone is actually in the water too, so very limited land masses. Time to touch down first. This is going to play a big factor in how this squad here is going to play it out, and its vetting crew sitting pretty right now.
Team from Jersey go right into the center of this island. This island does kind of look like an armpit monster.
Reminds me of Jersey. sure does.
So the final player on this squad, on this trio, by the way, is Dean, who had a different name in the spreadsheet that I was looking at, but that's somebody who's had some minor successes in different things like cash cups and so on. Paired up with Ved and Dev. Center zone 4th is not going to be that great unless maybe it pulls up to the landmass up in the top left, but we know that this next zone is going to go to an edge. But for whatever reason, the Boroughs like their islands, I guess. They're all bunched up in the center right here, and this is a very, very odd thing to see in a grand final stage.
But wait, let's talk about all the squads that are on the south right here. Like, what just happened?
Yes.
They rotated in landmass wise and are just parked up on top of one another. That looks so funny, just watching how many players just stacked up right there. Oh my gosh, what's gonna happen as the pressure here is now putting shots down? Dev and squad are just looking to fire in at all these members here. Little do they know there's so many players stacked up on top of one another. I mean, this could work too, right? You create chaos and all of a sudden you'll force box fights for the others that are on the back side of this. So Explicity here is not in a really good situation to be in right now. I see Zexro's name still alive down there as well, so Zexro might be the last member alive of that trio.
Is he on the same edge that we're looking at right now, all the way down towards
Yep.
Steamy Stacks? That could be fantastic. Meanwhile, Agers, Rocks, and crew get right on top, and yes, Zexro is up. He's got an Elim. And I'm wondering if Jade did not get fully taken out. That could be a surprise in towards the end game. And it does pull over in that direction, but not even in the massive congestion. So they still have to slightly move. But Dev, Dean, and Ved have basically gone straight over where the zone was going to be when they flew through this. Yes, Bizzle and Zexro are still alive, and they've got a launch pad still. And potentially, Zexro has the shockwave grenade launcher if they did indeed come out of caddy corners. That's still a possibility.
Nice strong loadout here from Bizzle as well. Well-rounded. The harpoon's going to come in super handy as well as the later in the game kind of continues over. They will be able to pick up some material. They're going to freely rotate their way to this next zone here. Not looking too good for Bizzle as far as his resources go, but that's all right. Zexro nearly capped out. Pretty strong position to be in nonetheless. Pressure coming in from multiple angles though here, and yes, they do have the caddy's corner loot secured, the shockwave launcher in Zexro's inventory. I wonder though, how are they going to play this out right now as a two-man squad? If there's anyone that can do it, it's this one right here. And yes, here comes the full split here now. They can balance out the resources, looking much better here for Bizzle.
But all the top trios from the regional qualifiers are still alive. We still got Soul Chase and Invidious. Ooh, a box on the Sway-Swo. But it won't be enough to actually finish him off, and he backs away from it, does not opt to go into that box, not knowing what else is going on, because guys, this is stacked. Look at the number of players, look at the number of teams, 18 teams still alive. 46 players as Letty gets taken out, and so does Agers. So some of those top teams get taken out just slightly, or at least taken down a notch, giving Bizzle and Zexro a possibility of still making this happen. I also saw Gonza, Okote, and Jared still up in this game too.
Talk about players that are going to fall. Soul is going to fall there, so don't know if Chase and his crew are still alive right now, but it's a big one to know. There it is. Chase is finally going to fall as well, so another big squad getting wrapped up and taken out of the competition, as the zone is now going to start pressuring everyone to cut back across the landmass here. They're going to have to go back west. Zexro putting some shots down, players in the distance here. He's going to find a couple headshots though. I wonder, are they looking to launch pad here most like, and is the air traffic clear for it? They're creating problems with all their neighbors right now. Let's see here. Bizzle looking to set it up, and there it is. The launch pad's out. Everyone's cutting across now. It's time to land up, base up here. Bizzle's going to finally touch down on the backside. He's going to get a piece of that high ground. Fox and Valor and Zero fragging out right now. 5 Elim for Fox and Last Platoon, and they had 6 total as a crew. They've essentially doubled that already here, racking up to 10.
10 Elims, so significant. That's already 50 points on the board, but they find themselves in trouble as they were not paying attention. A couple nades land in their box and they fall down. They have to layer away. It continues to pull even further south west, which means back on the landmass and also on a spot that there was not many teams before, so it won't be old builds if they end up running him out. So he might be on his own. I don't even see his teammate Sero with him at all.
No, it doesn't look like it's too good. And oh no, he was trying to get to the launch pad, and that's going to trade out a lot of HP. The hesitation there, just trying to find his opportunity. Now trying to find his teammate as well. Where is Sero? As he lands on the low ground onto an enemy. Good ramp there is going to keep him alive though. Beautiful maneuvering here. 200 materials left. Another enemy build nearby. He's just not catching a break. Finally, now he gets to heal up here and bounce back into the competition. Frag will be so crucial for the squad here. Remember, 12 elims is the equivalent of a victory royale. And now finally he finds Sero and they're together.
And they're back together finally at last. Only 5 builds though for Fox, and I imagine it's gonna be the same situation for Sero. But they get a nice RPG, open up the sight lines and finish him off with a charge. Another elim out of the total. That's Swayso who made it all the way here, even though he was low HP. I still see Bizzle in the feed connecting for a couple. Yes, it's him and Zexro on height, and they're doing it with only 2. And they've held on for this entire time since that 6-zone launch. There's another one. It's finally Fox, and he goes down, and even a harpoon to add to the material advantage that they have on height, and also more possible rockets for Zexro to use this shockwave to cause chaos down below.
That's right, and Zexro's got his eyes on some players on the zone there. He's going to be connecting some big shots. They're not going to fall in his favor, but that's all right, because they do have this height and RPG now. The power combo that's going to allow them to secure this victory royale here. All they have to do is continue the lap here, and they'll be out to the races. Bizzle, 4 rockets left in RPG, trying to lower on down now and close things out. They're finally starting to rack up elims here, Bala. These are huge for the point placements, right? Because you saw Sero still make it all the way through, so this is still massive for the squad up top.
That it is. Every elimination matters. It's 5 points. We're down to 2 teams. It's Ved and Dean down below. Bizzle will get all the way knocked down, but Zexro's still up above. He can even build back into this and make it a 2v1. Yes, Ved looks like he's out of mats. Bizzle with the 360 to close it out. That puts them at 7 eliminations and the win, and they start off right where things ended in the regional qualifiers for Long Island with a win in this one. That makes it 4 in a row in this Battle of Boroughs, but right here, right now, it's just the starts, and they've got at least the win in the 10 elims.
That's right, kicking it off strong and off to the races here. Like we said, they needed those frags, and they found them towards the end, even losing Jade in the middle of the competition, but it was a close start for them as well. I mean, Zexro went down first in that fight. Jade clutched it up, so Jade still putting up the money where it needed to be, making the right bets, and their squad comes out for the victory.
Yep, and again, it's Caddy Corner who ends up reigning supreme in towards the ends. I'd love to see that off-spawn fight, because clearly it was grueling. We saw Zexro fall early. We saw Jay fall through the mid-game. So they didn't have an easy time getting towards the end, but when they get to the end is when they're online and activated. So that is going to be super dangerous for everybody else.
That is right. That is right. I mean, they're looking strong. They're holding it out, and, you know, I'm assuming that they're going to continue to do great things throughout the course of the competition. Here's the little bit of a highlight package, though, to give you guys the recap on how those final moments went. Like we said, once Bizzle used that harpoon to pick up not only the materials to continue to hold height, but the extra RPG rockets and the RPG itself, that was the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, it was, but this is pretty much the first time where they start grabbing these elims is already in the final team. They pick up Ved and Dean, who had a very significant performance too. 2nd place for them, and I know they've got a couple of shots down to get a couple elims as well. But another team was Valor and Crew, although hold up for a second as we could talk about that 360, add a little flair to that. Valor and Crew, they had 10 elims, Monster, before the end game even started, and they ended up falling somewhere within the placement, but I'm not sure if they can actually keep up and manage to stay with Bizzle, Zexro, and Jade.
I mean, let's think about it though. They had a ton of elims. You could assume they probably picked up a few extras down at the bottom. That's why I said 12 elims equal victory royale. So think about the balance, right? They definitely broke the 12 elim threshold. They well exceeded the amount of elims that Bizzle and they had, and they still made endgame. So it's still likely, it's still very likely they might be in the lead here or very close with it. They can continue that out. I think they're going to be a-okay.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that's definitely a possibility. We'll have to wait and see for the leaderboard, which is getting tallied right now. A lot of different things unfolding too, though, in the early game. Obviously, we kind of heard some rumblings about Caddy Corner, and we saw it in the action feed, but what we did see was Blue T, Roat, and crew getting taken out by Gonzo and everybody else. That Lazy Lake fight, that was to perfection by Gonzo and crew, ending up against Blue T, Roat, and them and destroying them with no fighting chances at all. Is there going to be an opportunity for Blue T, Roat, and everybody else to actually climb back into this monster?
Hey man, it's gonna be the battle of Brooklyn versus the Bronx over in Lazy Lakes. Bronx is up by 1 right now. We'll see if Brooklyn can bring their egos or get their egos checked again at the door here at Lazy Lake. I mean, it's good, it's back and forth, but hey, Gonzo and them, they were winning their drop spot consistently in the qualifiers. I don't think Bugsby, Blue Ad and Roat were doing too hot. They really turned up towards the end when it mattered, but for what it's worth, they were inconsistent.
Yeah, 100%. So let's take a look and figure out how this is actually going to unfold, because there's a lot of numbers that we're basically trying to load it up. Regardless, guys, it's the first game down, and we'll have to wait for that leaderboard until after the break, because maybe there'll be some questions answered. What we have answered so far is that Zexro, Bizzle, and Jayth are here to play. We got game 2 coming up right after this. Game 1 down, but 7 more to go, and so many developments already in game 1. Obviously, Long Island on top. Team Elite, Zexro, Jayth, and crew winning the first game. Any surprises for you, Monster? Because that just looks textbook.
I mean, I was more so surprised that they didn't find as many frags as they could have, but hey, what can you really do as a 2-man squad, right? I'm sure things kind of began to crumble for them in the mid game. You don't really want to lose your trio, right? Especially in the mid game. That's where things really start to get cooking, and showing that muscle power on the field is what matters most there. So things slipping out of their grasp, but hey, Caddy's Corner's loot, let's talk about how strong it can be, because clearly that's a helpful swing. That's like having a 4th member in its own right there.
Yeah, that's basically a free height take without any opportunities at all for people to defend against it. So no matter what, we'll see them on height if they can win Caddy Corner again. But like you said, mid-game troubles puts Jayth down, who in my mind, you're talking about missing elims. He is the fragger of the squad. You might not necessarily think that when you see somebody like Zexro on it, but Jayth has been turning up. In the regional qualifiers, he was the one with 10 elims, carrying in a lot of senses in towards the end. Everybody else a little bit more cerebral and making sure that they can get there to the end game and reining him in. So maybe if they can fix that up this tournament, they might start to run away with it. But there's some other things, of course, at Lazy Lake. We're looking at that fight between Bugsby, Roat, Blue T, and Gonzo's crew, because that also will have implications on the leaderboard. But for me, even more, the fight at Pleasant Park, which we didn't get to see much, but Valor and them came out of that with 3 eliminations and then took another mid-game fight right on the edge of zone.
Yeah, and that's what I was pulling up here on the side monitor. I really wanted to give a shout out to Zero, Fox, and Valor. Not only they crown out Pleasant Park, they're dominating the surrounding area. They kind of lingered around that back storm line instead of going to zone, which can bite you in the long run. Not claiming strong positions in Trio's gameplay early on can bite you, but hey, they're making it work in the term or in the long run with the frags that they're picking up. And they're holding back because they passed that other squad on the bridge. Remember, they were all farming their metal. They didn't just stop and take every fight that they could have. They're taking the ones that they feel that they're confident in. And it looks like right now they're targeting the squads that are closest to Pleasant Park. And that in its own is helping them catch momentous strides in that early game. I mean, kicking things off with 30 points before zone 2 even closes, that's huge.
That it is. And like you said, it will be important for the next games because they're fighting near Pleasant. And what that does, it actually opens up and pushes that team to rotate even farther north or skirt around them all the way the side of the map. So that will be interesting to see if that opportunity is still there for them. It could be. And they might end up finding themselves with 6 elims again in the mid game, which would be huge for them. If they can start to clean up their end game, then all of a sudden they're in contention. And I like what we're doing so far because all I'm seeing is probably in the top 4. We haven't seen the leaderboard. We're still waiting on that just now, but we've got Long Island. We've got Brooklyn in the form of Valor and crew. We've got Queens ending up taking some fights as well. And we got Jersey. So all of the boroughs so far showing up, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you're rooting for anyone out there in the chat, you know, put it out there. Let's get a little horn going, signal off for your boys, man. What region you're rooting for? What borough are you a part of? Or Jersey or upstate New York. You guys are a part of it. Don't worry. I'm gonna say it once here on behalf of Golden Boys. Shout out to Yonkers. I know there's a couple boys tuning in for those guys as well. But yeah, it is a matter of ego and pride, not just the dollars that's on the line today, because we all know how New Yorkers get, New Jersey, right? The East Coast get. It's about the pride. It's about the ego taking that crown.
100% it is. And speaking of Jersey, the team who got second place in that game was the first place team out of Jersey. So maybe they have some opportunities to rise up in the ranks. That was Ved, Dean, and Dev, right? And I was actually questioning a lot of their decisions and towards the beginning of that end game in fifth zone, how they were kind of camped in on that armpit. We mentioned it. And then they had to fly back where they came because they had a power position on Steamy Stacks. Regardless, even with all that, they make it to second place and they end up being able to take a 2v2 against Zexro and Bizzle up on height, and that bodes well for them if they can continue to do that, even if it's not winning, because like we said, second place is still worth, what, 54 points or something, which is significant.
Yeah, the difference between first and second is really not that much, and that's where the elims really boil you down. If you can be the one to actually catch the frags in those final moments, you're gaining more points than just staying alive at that point. So watching players hunt and jump down for those frags towards the tail end, that's what's most important. And for a second there, I mean, Cero and his crew, they were really gassing up, they were really turning up. That's what we saw kind of all happen there. But that was just a conclusion of game one as how things were shaping out here. So we have a couple battles to keep an eye out on. One person that I didn't see there, though, I'm not sure where Gonzo and his crew went down at, but to see them not make it to the end game first time around, especially after early game victory, that's got to be a momentum kind of break right there for them.
Yeah, I saw them wrap up a couple of elims in the beginning of the end game, but then fall at least a couple of them at the very start of that too. So they basically had an engagement. Maybe they were forced into an uncomfortable spot where they had to trade outs and ended up losing the favor because they had some decent height in the fifth zone, right below where Zexro or right above where Zexro and crew were. So I'm wondering how that ended up falling for them because it was significant, clearly. And like we said, that's a team that we're looking forward to. And obviously they had success out of their early game. They just got to translate now. And having good position in fifth might not be enough. Regardless, guys, we are going to hop into game 2 out of 8 for the Battle of the Boroughs. We're going to hop on the bus and see how these early games unfold and whether or not we'll have anybody who can challenge up above to the rest of the monster.
That's right, and here it is. Game 2 is underway, and it looks like we're just touching down on the spawn island here. First team we're going to be taking a look at, Ball of the most exciting, Bizzle, Zexro, and Jaith here at Battle of the Boroughs.
This is going to be interesting to see if we can spot them out of caddy corners and all the different fights. The most important to me, Pleasant Park, caddy corner, obviously with Bizzle and crew, and then also Lazy Lake to see if Gonzo and crew and actually come out on top 2 games in a row. They've dropped out of the bus and they're going for it. It's another team that was very, very quiet. Monster was Rocks, Agers, and Janik, the stable Discord crew. Not there at all when they were playing, which is interesting to say the least, because you would definitely expect them to be fighting up towards the top.
Yeah, I was keeping my eye on them. I mean, I saw them make it towards like top 15 or so and then just fizzle out one at a time. Kind of getting dropped there in that end game. Pretty unfortunate for them. But look at this, a change of drop spot now. Gonzo, Kote, and Jairus actually have full claim of the Lazy Lake just off of dropping Bugsby, Road, and Blue Tea. So the alternative drop, the alternative strats already being put into play. And it makes me wonder though, how do you give up this entire area? And where do they go?
Yeah. That is a big question because it will put influence on somebody else. Gonzo able to stretch all the way to the lake house, and this is not something you normally see, even dating back to the squad days in the grand finals. People were not letting Lazy Lake go uncontested, but the risk was not worth the reward for Blue Tea, Roat, and Bugsby. They actually go to Authority. So if this team had this uncontested the last time, unfortunately they have to contend with some of the best players in the lobby, and Blue Tea does have already the glider gun. Bugsby's still down below, but they've taken height a little bit, and they've got a challenge against Blue Tea, but Bugsby's gonna be able to set up a pinch. Road is chasing them in too. All of a sudden, things are looking dire for the team inside.
It is true, and I'm just looking at the shields available on the enemy squad. It's not looking too good for them. So right now, the advantage is in the favor of Blue T, Road, and Bugsy here. We're now looking to push on in and isolate the squad down. Oh, they just picked up the chug splashes in the basement. So if the indicator and the sound was enough, they should know where the squad's at, but I don't think Bugsy caught the cue there. He's just searching the bushes, yeah, looking around, honestly, anywhere now at this point. But here, he's recognizing they're right underneath him. Let's see what Bugsy and crew can do. Pinch is happening. Roet's already on the bottom layer working from one angle, and Bugsy's on the other. Trying to line up the crossfire here. It's not quite going to work out. But I love this, though. I do love this. Going down first gives you access to actually, watch back the broadcast and jump into the replay mode, right? And really get your research on. So I think they just did their homework really quickly and decided this is a better risk and gamble. Going for a stronger position. You get the mythic loot. I mean, you get so much more of an advantage, right?
Speaking of advantages, basically the rest of the lobby has not been fighting too much. You have Invidious getting another win off spawn, which is expected. Oh, all of a sudden Blue T gets himself really in trouble, tries to break down through the floor. They let him come in, and then they cone him, get him stuck, and they've given up the glider gun, one of the most important in this entire fight at all at the Authority. Let's swap over to Craggy Cliffs. I haven't said that name in a while because it just came out. It's from underwater last weekend. Jericho, Spark G in mind against the Starving crew. And Spark has heights. They're trying to chase down one, and he's on the backside of the building. They almost could have gotten him, but they're going to maintain the height instead.
Working their way down nice and slow here. You see Mine is the one closest to the thick of it here. Really trying to get in. Now Jarkor coming through the side. Wood builds are not going to be enough, but the counter fire there is going to put a little bit of pressure backwards from Redox and Team Oxygen. Out comes the mini toss there, trying to give his squad mate their final heal now. Jarkor is going to have to pop that here. Not looking too hot for the team here. Jarkor's going to get punished, and he does get taken out before he can actually heal. So the lead now swinging back to Team Oxygen. Remember, most importantly, the siphon going off for the squad down here. So Joe now has some shield to work with. Redox gets capped off, and Glizzy is looking pretty decent with his chug splashes. He can totally help this team out after they pop their minis, and that's going to look like the play here. The lead swinging back now for Glizzy, Redox, and Joe.
A little bit of breathing room in the bottom of this. Still gonna look for opportunities. Spark accidentally falls and he gets boxed like a fish. Instantly, Glizzy will take advantage of that and possibly even cone him, but no, Spark finally escapes, but not for long. He's down, stuck on the dock, and for some reason, the rest of his squad is not even close to him, even though he got that fight and had the advantage. Now it's a 2v2. They've exchanged a little bit, and this fight is also going poorly for the other side. And I think they might have just wiped them. Yes, Mind is done. All they've got to do is find Spark. So what looked like an advantage towards Spark G and crew all of a sudden is not looking great at all. They've been able to force this now into 2v1.
Gotta give credit where it's due, though, to get tagged like that, go on the counter and actually land all of your shots. The attack coming out in full force and pressure there, allowing him to come out on top here. Now Spark has a fighting chance. I mean, it's still doable. Here's a Bossy who we saw at the start drop Zexro before getting traded out by Jaith on the clutch up. We're going to be able to see Immortality, Zez, Evasion, and I Get Nostalgia working just outside of their kind of angling. Free rotates, though, as they're not looking to fight. They're trying to get on out, even going into the storm zone right now, possibly for the look of material. Yes, on the hunt for material. Just judging by the arrows, I feel like that squad is looking to possibly hold them out here.
I think there was a stalemate off of a drop that one of the teams wanted to push forward, but then realized another team had interest in it and they backed off. Should be okay for them. They back away towards Logjam, which is going to be a really, really newly added addition to their loot path, and get quite a decent amount of wood, possibly some metal as well on the inside with all the conveyor belts too. There's a boat though lurking in on the side of them that's It's gonna creep on them, actually. They're gonna engage. It's Letty and crew, who we saw be fairly aggressive in the last game. I think they definitely want to get involved.
Taking their time though, trying to gather up as much material as possible. I mean, this is a great place to battle it out, especially considering how much excess material there is to come back towards. The team though that we knew was taking all the early game fights, Zero, Fox, and Valor, have someone else in their sights. It's Type Zoo and Goblin who are on the run right now. Looks like Fox is gonna find the nice angle here. Yes, Type Zoo forgetting to close his backside completely, quite literally tunnel visioned on the runaway there. And now Fox is going to be able to catch his thirst and hopefully pick up the materials before cutting on out. Yes, there it is. Can't shake down in the water, buddy. He is going to have to finish him off or commit here. I think he trying to see. Yes, little trick there though. He's going to jump down and hit the shakedown in the process, and now able to do it. Learn something new every day, I guess. That was pretty cool.
So it might not be 6 eliminations in the mid game. It looks like they pushed the players off of Pleasant entirely, but they're still going to get aggressive no matter what and find themselves 2. One still escapes them, but now with a different zone, we get to see a different path. So they're going to push down towards the Whirlpool and potentially push into Sweaty Sands, although they see a team both behind them and basing up not too far away. Another team will be able to hold them out if they do fly over towards Sweaty Sands through the Whirlpool. That's this one right here, Luna and crew at the same time. Ved gets an elim and so does Gonzo. So 2 teams that we're paying attention to are starting to rise up even further on the leaderboards.
Very crucial fight right here to be committing to, blowing a lot of medium ammo for a team that's long distance and not catching any tags or knocks for it. It's not quite the best. That player is going to get pushed out there, and Valor is going to be the one that's going to close out for it because it was Crinnle who's on the run there. So he rotates right into a dangerous trio, and they pick up the free pick. And now they're probably going to be coming in to hunt down the rest of this squad as they're hearing the Marauder shots kind of finish off. But Salty Springs, the hot spot right now. Multiple squads rotating on through just outside the Authority here. It could be Bugsby and squad unless they lost the Authority. I completely forgot that they were popping off. Someone that's gonna fall though, Rocks. So that means Agers and the rest of his teammate are not looking that good right now. Already losing Rocks here early in the game. Big headshot.
No, actually, they completely knocked. They got him. Marco down and out. So snipe from range. But there is no range in between Nvidia Soul and Chase against Spark and the 2 tacos. They'll push him away quickly, but Monster, a dangerous threat looming. At the same time, this lobby was not able to thin itself out with all the fights that have already broken out. Still 80 people alive in second zone. It's going to start closing soon. Surge notifications will go out, and it will be deadly as we approach into the third. That's why this fight's so important for Soul, Chase, and crew.
Already a much different pace than game 1. Game 1, we had 72 players alive coming into the zone, and here with 10 more. Like you said, this is going to be a serious storm surge that's going to happen here. A team that's not going to have to worry about is Soul Chasing and Nvidia's here, who already have a few frags. I love the 3-2-1 open fire to get through the metal, though. The bully plays, the squad plays, working like a team here. Gotta love that. A little bit of a counter fire, though, coming out from the 4 Fable tacos. There's 2 tacos here, like we said before. No, Soul's gonna get boxed up here and get traded out. And he gets taken down, but not before the rest of the squad comes in and Nvidius falls for trying to help out. And now it's up to Chase to clutch up by himself. Not impossible, though. The big shot there on one of the teammates. Hard shot completely punished. 2v1, though, I still don't know if that's the best play to hold it just like that. Such a scary position to be in here.
I'm surprised to still see him taking this fight. Obviously, not much to live for in this game. It's gonna be very difficult to get some placement points. He almost gets counter-edited on and almost even gets the floor against 2 people holding turbo build. He does, but they backed up again. Super surprised to see this right now because you'd expect him to just try to go for some placement, but instead he's gonna try to 1v3, and if he pulls this off, that would be not only ridiculous, but so difficult to actually figure out how that happened from the other side. There's an RPG as well that might throw things for a loop, and they will start to fight and build fight against the 1 player. Chase still holding on, and they don't actually fight all the way up. This could completely ruin the opportunity for Taco's crew to do anything. Finally, an RPG finds something, and it is a storm fight too. So they have to hopefully get out of this, and I think they even... Did they just leave him? Yeah, he's just in the zone. They're gonna leave. Spark is still by himself though, and if he doesn't leave soon, his team's gonna have to turn about face and face this.
It's not looking too hot here. I mean, the worst thing you want to do is leave the 1v1 in the air for Chase. That'll give them the benefits in the situation here, but all right, they don't want a storm fight at all. I'm assuming this zone's got to be pretty far if they're already leaving. Remember, we saw it just cut off by the Salty Springs area. And remember now, storm zone or the storm surge will be in full effect. 4 players have to go down now. Baby Gonzo's gonna find a bossy. Jarrett's is gonna find one as well. So Baby Gonzo and crew turning up right now. 1 player left in the crew right here. He's hidden inside this floorboard. And I think, yes, there it is. They know where he is now. The hunt's here from Baby Gonzo. That's his wall. He's going to open up and hit him with the surprise shotgun shot. And now 6 elims for Gonzo, Jerry's, and Akote turning up. And wait a second. There's another. The instant fire. No time to pause here. There's no red lights for Baby Gonzo.
That is insane that he opts to shoot that fast without any information on the team in front of him, without knowing whether they were high HP, whether they even were a full trio. He gets a couple tags for it, and that forces them to pause. Surge is still on, which could be a minor point against the other team. They will disengage though. One team going out the left, and the other team going to take the white line straight north. I think actually going to end up in a better position overall than the team who's trying to skirt their way around the edge. By the way, that's the 2nd place team on the other side.
I was just going to say, I just saw Spark go down to Marauder, by the way. Remember, Spark was the last to rotate out of the zone. And look, Glizzy is going to be able to find Taco and Spark now because of it. So the Marauders getting their taste of the action right now. And now Taco TV's crew is going to fully fall here by Glizzy on the backside. So I don't know what happened, but a bad run-in with the Marauders after rotating late in the storm zone is going to be the downfall for Spark. I wonder if Chase is somehow still alive after all of that. Would be interesting to see if he somehow survived it.
Now looking at the team on top by 3 points, by the way. We did get the leaderboard update. So they're leading, but only by a thin margin, though. In this case, they took out Blue Team. Roat, at least they finished that engagement that we saw the beginnings of at the Authority, and now they have not only the Shockwave launcher, but the glider gun as well. So they have the height take and they have the horizontal distance take to get way ahead of zone if they want to connect those. A key recipe to take the win, and even some height too. Bizzle's still lurking down back on the God ramp, and he will take a shot that ends up letting Zexro find a way into the space, and he's pouncing. He wants in. The classic Zexro from his trio fights. He will get involved as fast as possible.
That's right. That hunting rifle shot being a key opener here for Alpha, and the res still hasn't gone off. They were actually trying to get him in a better and safer position, but it looks like now the servers figured it out. There's a fight going on here. You see a couple shots coming in from other angles. So many lines of fire can see into this battle here. The crew down below is trying to save Alpha now. There, finally, he figures out. Bizzle knows where they're at, but maybe it's been a little too long. Chug Splash is coming out. That's the clear indicator that this is not the fight, or the team has now bounced back. Deciding, though, is it worth going for the drop here? The greed from Bizzle, Zexor, and Jaith is the question. We know they have those mythic items, the Grappler and the Shockwave. You can see a launch pad in the inventory as well, but how much do you really need, and how worth it is it going for that drop right now?
It's dependent on what other people do right now, how they rotate, if they rotate early. And nobody is moving, not even Gonzo and crew. We saw them be so decisive a little earlier. Now using the stinks to try to actually spot where that team down below is. They're going to decide that they want to continue pressure based on their position. Jaith blocks off, and he's got a really, really nice angle. Zexro might have found one on his own, or Guardy trying to make sure that they don't come in through the back. They've got a three-way pitch with Zexro, Bizzle, and Jaith, and to contend with that is going to be very difficult, especially with the amount of stinks that Zexro is throwing and holding. That's the last one, though, but more loot. He picks up a rocket launcher 2, power weapons, and mythic items. I don't see this being stoppable for anybody unless they make a key mistake. Look, Monster, you mentioned it. And the key wasn't to be greedy at all. The key was just to force everybody and bully them away, force them to rotate, and now they've got 2 launch pads, possibly 3 in the inventory.
Definitely gonna have more than one. That's a fact there. A team that's in another fight here already, of course. It's Valor, Fox, and Zero. 4 elims for the squad here. Looking really good, though. Tucking those nades into the pocket here now to be able to blow open the enemy team. Swap over to metal, though. Crucial builds already being kind of blown here, to say the least. Another squad's gonna get into it, though, and the lines of fire coming in from all angles now as the pressure and the server turns their focus into the battle here on the western portion of the zone now. So many players to counter snipe, though, onto Foxen. He's forced into defensive hold now. Probably gonna have to splash for the squad here. Yes, there he goes. Trying his best now.
These
Pretty
guys
close.
were at 87 points last game, 3 points shy of Zexro, Bizzle, and Jade. And they already have more elims than them, which means that they will be in the lead currently. This is our first place team right here, right now. It just depends on what they can do in the end game. Speaking of end game, Jade is down again, potentially could get knocked if Bizzle and Zexor will try to save, but no, Jade down again, and he had the shockwave launcher. If this was from range, they still have room to recover. But if not, if Jade got a little ahead of himself, that team might be in trouble without that item.
It is true. Not looking too good if you lose the mythic shockwave. We know that is the key to success and victories for sure. Current state of Fortnite here. The zone's gonna pull south, though. Fox and Valor and Zero are gonna have to army their way, march their way through all these squad mates here. And the battle, Zexro is the only alive now as Bizzle gets absolutely pumped by Murkowski there with the charge shot. And now Bizzle's also out of the game. Zexro, though, does have the mythic Kid's shotgun and grappler to back him up, so he can still secure placements here, but that first place lead is absolutely slipping away now as they only have 1 elim, like you mentioned before. Can Zexro clutch up and do this by himself now? It's gonna be the question.
Meanwhile, Riot and Blue T still up in this game, so they actually came back after Zexor almost wiped them. A reboot was definitely in the books for that squad. Zexor will try to fire on with a bunch, but an RPG will actually put his position in danger. And yes, full spray from all sides of the lobby, and they know that this is a potential elim right now, and Zexor has to build out of wood. 11 builds left, and now he finds a gap. Well done from him, but how long is this going to last? This is not his build, the brick on either side. And he has to find an impact now too, because even with the glider gun, yes, he can get ahead of zone, but with no materials, he won't be able to sit tight at any point in the game.
100 mats left for Zexro here, and the competition is only getting thicker and thicker. As more players are beginning to stack on top of one another. Zone 6 going to reveal itself. It's pulling far east here. I see Okote catch a knock in the feed there. Valor's going to fall from Zero and the others. Zexor now really desperate here, trying to figure out what to do in this position. Gonzo's gonna find himself an elim. I think we got to keep an eye on Gonzo's squad here. They had a lot of elims before. Yes, 7 already, only into zone 6 with 43 players alive. They're looking to come back after the disappointing drop early in the last endgame, but consistency is what matters, and right now they are on track here, elim-wise, closing out the gap for the bad performance before. Probably not exactly what they were looking for, but height is his, it's theirs, but the shockwaves could still be in play, the shockwave launcher, so no one's safe. Not just yet.
Definitely not. We still have the glider gun from Zexor, which will get back into play if he gets taken out, or if he decides to find himself an impact. To say that just like it's a choice for him. Yeah, I'm going to find an impact regardless. Jared's Gonzo and Okote have the opportunity to catch right back up after a disappointing game 1 performance for a team that we expect to be at the top when all is said and done. But they are on the top right now, and they can pressure down. Connections from all sides. This will be very, very nice. And I think I did hear that shockwave launcher down below from one team. Still not taking height, though. Does find the rocket in the gap. That's some damage done. And also pressuring any team who decides that they might want to face off against the team on heights. All the way down they go. That's two sides completely controlled from the team up above.
He's done a good job putting the rocket in between the builds there, really force those players down, force the congestion, and players to change layers. If you're on second height now, you're going to be the big focus here from Gonzo. These guys are not connected over, but lucky. Oh, there it is, 100 fall damage. Someone actually took some serious fall damage, and there it was. It was Luna who falls there, and Marksman as well. So two players from that squad there is going to get knocked. Only one is somehow going to survive the fall, possibly land into the water. Gonzo really tearing it up there. The Elims are going to finally convert. And now the points are racking up. Not only placement, because they're in top 10 here, but the Elims. The Elims are so much more important now in these final moments. The angling, though, looking out for lines of sights to cut players off is what they're doing. This is looking really good for them, Bala.
Yes, it is. All the way up now. They've also gotten themselves way ahead of zone so they can look back. Some tags down on his waist. Whoa, and he gets them all the way. That will be a finish for sure. And the team's still stuck in zone now all together. Gonzo might find himself a couple more opportunities, but their Elims are rising up. Only 20 fall damage. And they've just got 8 chug splashes, but there it is. All the way up. Somebody is contesting, so they have to give it up now and end up fighting from a different angle and from a different position. And if they focus too hard on height, they might end up falling out of contention for this game. They're going to try to launch for it. It's taken Aqua and Tiny Jelly who have it. They've got RPGs too. Here's a landing. Gonzo directly on top of them. They're going for it unawares. They've taken it right back, but no materials to hold. And this is so dangerous, but they find themselves another. Yes! Gonzo is by himself, but he's found so many. He just has to survive this box. Drops him down again. Chug Splash is in zone. So key for him, but he's holding on. Still hanging on. Possibly one more. Let's go. The shot just barely misses, and Claw will take him out. Now top 4.
11 eliminations for Gonzo, really going crazy in those final moments. Here's Claw, though. 2 more ticks and he'll be taken out. No, he is going to get to the safe zone now. And all of a sudden, his squad is just barely holding on. They're going to get pounced on. The 78 shotgun shot in the trade there. Now it's up to Tiny Jelly. No more mats in the water here. And there's a player in front of him. Someone's outside. Can he hit this shot when it matters? He's going to get traded out. And down he goes, but Taken follows up just in time to close out for the Victory Royale.
And that was the team who ended up getting the shockwave launcher off of Bizzle, Zexor, and Jaith. So they combined for 8 eliminations and skyrocket themselves, but a lot of changes have unfolded in the leaderboard. I know we still need to get an update to exactly how this is playing out, but what a game 2 to put down Zexor, Jaith, and them that early when they had an advantage going into that. They had everything, the glider gun, rocket launchers, everything. When I say that, I mean literally everything, but unfortunately falling as they rotate to 5th.
That's what I was going to talk about. I was like, you think that after they secured that extra launch pad, they had enough cushion to play with. They had those mythic weapons come to mid game. It was literally looking like they had all chips stacked in their favor. That slight odd percentage, anything can happen in the Fortnite world. It's where Jaith falls and the team crumbles. We saw for a brief moment there, Bizzle just eat a nasty charge shotgun shot and get taken out. And that was it. Zaxor left by himself just wasn't enough to clutch up.
Yeah, but speaking of other teams as well, the big name that we expected to also be in contention was all the way down somewhere like 14th. Gonzo, Okote, and Jareds, who won their heat in a fashion that was pretty much equivalent to what Bizzle and them did on the Long Island heat. So that's surprising. But they're here again, and they've got, what was it, like 12 eliminations? Unfortunately, they ended up falling. I'm surprised that they actually went for that fight against Tiny Jelly and crew up on height, instead of just focusing all their attention down on low ground, which was complete chaos, by the way, in full water.
Yeah, I mean, it was working for a second there, though. Gonzo touchdown. 2 of them did with the surprise factor, the big 87 pump off the bat. But once the shockwave started coming out, players started flying left and right. You know how it goes. There's nothing you can do. Once that thing sends you, you're pretty much doomed to the zone if you don't have a grappler or a launch pad to bounce back in.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And of course, I think we're moving over towards game number 3 after this. Looking forward, We do want to see what all these teams can do. Bugs v Blue Tea and Roa had some struggles off spawn. Same thing with Starving X Oxygen. Fox and Valor and Zero ended up contesting still towards the top, but there's still plenty of games to go, so we're gonna have to see what happens next.